Let's start our first news with Alex Pereira reacting to Magomed Ankaleyev's latest comments. In a recent interview with Red Corner MMA, Magomed Ankalaev addressed his rivalry with Alex, making it clear that he believes their series is still unfinished. Ankalaev pointed out that the two fighters are now 1-1, reminding everyone that he won their first fight and describing that victory as dominant. According to Ankalaev, he may have lost the second fight, but he doesn't seem to view that defeat as a true reflection of their rivalry. Instead, he dismissed the result as an accident, suggesting that their previous encounter doesn't settle the score between them. But Alex Pereira didn't exactly respond with the seriousness Ankalaev may have expected. Reacting to Ankalaev's comments, Alex simply wrote, "Haha, are you alive?" That short response immediately caught attention, especially because of how casually Alex appeared to dismiss Ankalaev's statement. Rather than getting drawn into a long argument or discussing the possibility of another fight, Alex responded with a quick remark that seemed to suggest he isn't too concerned about what Ankalaev has to say. Of course, fans are already speculating about whether this could eventually lead to a trilogy between the two. But for now, it appears Alex has other plans in mind. The rivalry between Alex and Ankalaev has already produced plenty of controversy, and their contrasting views on the previous fights are only adding more fuel to the discussion. With both fighters continuing to make headlines, the question of whether they will meet again remains one of the biggest storylines in the division. But judging by Alex's latest reaction, he doesn't seem particularly interested in giving Ankalaev the attention he is looking for. And now, Alex Pereira has also responded to Paulo Costa's recent comments during a new interview, adding another twist to the ongoing conversation surrounding his future. Move on to another news, as Arman and Charles Oliveira are reportedly set to run it back. And this time, the stakes could be even higher. According to reports from Red Fury MMA, a reputable Russian MMA media outlet, Oliveira versus Arman 2 is expected to take place at UFC 331, with the BMF Championship reportedly on the line. The two first met back in 2024, in a fight that turned into one of the biggest tests of Arman's career. Arman had to survive several dangerous moments early in the contest, including a C-Lows submission attempt in the opening round. However, he managed to recover, fight his way back into the bout, and ultimately secure a split decision victory over Oliveira. At the time, it was easily the biggest win of Arman's career and established him as one of the most dangerous contenders in the lightweight division. Since then, Arman has competed just once, returning to action in November 2025 against Dan Hooker. He delivered an impressive performance, finishing the fight by arm triangle choke and once again proving that his grappling remains one of the most dangerous weapons in the division. Meanwhile, Oliveira has remained much more active. Since their first meeting, he has gone 3-1, picking up notable victories over Michael Chandler, Mateusz Gamrot, and Max Holloway. His only setback during that stretch came against Ilia at UFC 317. Now, with Oliveira and Arman reportedly preparing to face each other again, fans could be in for another highly competitive matchup. Their first fight was already decided by a split decision, meaning there is plenty of unfinished business between the two. And if the BMF Championship is indeed on the line, this rematch could become one of the most anticipated lightweight fights on the UFC schedule. But that wasn't the only surprising story making headlines, as Zhang Weili has shocked fans with her latest transformation, looking almost unrecognizable nearly a year after her last UFC appearance. Move on to another news, as Josh Hoit has finally reacted to Dana White's latest comments surrounding the controversy that erupted after his White House appearance. The situation between Hoit and Dana has been developing for some time now. Following his victory at the White House, Hoit made comments that immediately attracted attention and sparked plenty of discussion across the MMA community. Since then, Dana has repeatedly criticized Hoit over what he said. However, Dana has also made it clear that while he strongly disagrees with Hoit's comments, he still believes in the importance of free speech. But Hoit hasn't exactly backed down. Instead, he has continued to make jokes about the situation and appears to be embracing the controversy rather than letting it fade away. The latest chapter came after Dana appeared on the Pivot podcast, where he was asked about the comments made by Hoit. Dana made it clear that he was extremely unhappy with what happened. Dana explained that while public figures are naturally going to face criticism and opinions from the public, he felt the comments crossed a line because of the person they were directed toward. He described the remarks as gross and inappropriate, particularly because they involved a former First Lady, as well as a wife and mother. Dana also emphasized that the comments did not represent the UFC himself or the other fighters who competed on the card. According to Dana, the night had otherwise been an incredible success, but he felt the controversy created an unnecessary distraction from what he described as a nearly perfect event. He also pointed out that people from both sides of the political spectrum could look at the situation and agree that the comments were inappropriate. But Hoit wasn't about to let the situation go quietly. One of the hosts of the Pivot podcast is Ryan Clark, and after reports surfaced about Clark's departure from ESPN, Hoit appeared to connect the timing to Dana's appearance on the show. According to a post from The Athletic on X, Clark's departure was reportedly influenced by concerns surrounding his verbal conduct, particularly involving colleague Peter Schrager. Hoit responded to the report with a sarcastic message suggesting that the situation was a case of around and found out. He then joked that the podcast episode featuring Dana aired just one day after Clark was reportedly fired. Hoit continued by saying that podcast questions are usually prepared days in advance, before adding another sarcastic remark, claiming that even a negative thought directed toward the incredible Hoit brings a curse. Clearly, Hoit is still leaning into the controversy, while Dana White appears determined to make his position on the situation perfectly clear. Move on to another news, as Garry is facing fresh controversy after a man claiming to be his own brother publicly challenged his version of their family history. The drama began after Ian discussed his childhood and explained how his mother reacted when he decided to leave college and pursue a career in fighting. Ian recalled that his mother didn't support his decision at first, and he even said he felt happy when she couldn't attend his UFC debut. According to Ian, he believed his family should have supported him when he needed them most, rather than only showing up once he had achieved success. However, a man identified as Ian's brother, Garry, allegedly fired back in the comments, strongly disputing Ian's account of how they grew up. Sean reportedly claimed that Ian was not a victim, arguing that their family had provided them with everything they needed while growing up. He also accused Ian of overlooking the support their parents gave him throughout his journey. According to Sean's comments, their father was personally involved in Ian's boxing career, even while dealing with serious health problems. He also claimed that the family attended Ian's fights and consistently believed he could succeed. Sean then questioned Ian's claims about who truly supported him, suggesting that Ian's wife entered his life when he was already close to reaching the UFC. But the comments didn't stop there. Sean allegedly brought up several personal family issues, including Ian's absence from their grandfather's funeral, and accused him of avoiding negativity instead of taking responsibility for his actions. The alleged brother then issued a warning, saying he had remained quiet because he still felt sorry for Ian, but that he would reveal the full truth if Ian continued discussing the family publicly. He also claimed that his comments had already been deleted multiple times, adding that his patience was running thin. The situation has now sparked even more speculation, with fans wondering whether there is a much bigger family dispute happening behind the scenes. For now, these remain allegations and claims from someone presented as Ian's brother. But if the comments continue, this family controversy could become even more public. Move on to another news, as Alexander Volkanovski appears to be putting his next title fight plans into motion, and Mauricio Rufy has now answered the call. For several months, Volkanovski for his next featherweight title defense to come against Movsar Evloev. Although the former champion has also expressed interest in moving up to lightweight for a potential title fight against Justin Gaethje, his focus has remained on returning to featherweight and facing the undefeated Russian contender. Now, that highly anticipated matchup could be getting closer to becoming a reality. Back in May, Evloev claimed that his title fight against Volkanovski had been officially signed, and suggested that the two would meet toward the end of summer. However, despite those comments, the UFC has yet to officially confirm the matchup. But there are now signs that Volkanovski could already be preparing for the fight. In a recent Instagram story, Mauricio Rufy revealed that he had arrived in Thailand after receiving a call from Volkanovski. Rufy explained that he had always told Volkanovski that whenever he needed him, he would be ready to answer the call. And now, that moment has arrived. The two fighters only began training together toward the end of last year, after Rufy decided to make major changes to his training setup. That move eventually led to him leaving the Fighting Nerds team, following a reported falling out with his former teammate, Gene Silva. This situation could create an interesting storyline moving forward. If Volkanovski defeats Evloev and hands the Russian his first career loss, he could potentially find himself facing Silva in a future matchup. That would put Rufy in a difficult position, considering his connections with both fighters. At the same time, Rufy is building serious momentum of his own. The 30-year-old lightweight contender picked up back-to-back victories earlier this year at UFC Freedom 10250, putting himself firmly into the title conversation. However, he may still need at least one more impressive win before becoming the undeniable #1 contender at 155 pounds. For now, though, all eyes are on Volkanovski and his potential return. While Volkanovski had hoped to compete toward the end of summer, recent reports suggest that Arman could headline UFC 331 on September 19th. If that happens, UFC 332 could become the next potential landing spot for Volkanovski versus Evloev, meaning fans may not have to wait much longer for an official announcement. Move on to another news, as Tom Aspinall has revealed graphic details about the eye surgeries he underwent following his controversial UFC 321 matchup with Cyril Gane. Aspinall recently opened up about his recovery during an interview with Great Company with Jamie Lang, describing the 3 surgeries he underwent as some of the most painful experiences of his life. According to Aspinall, he had 1 surgery on his left eye and 2 on his right. He even compared the experience to having a vasectomy, saying that what he went through with his eyes was far worse. Aspinall explained that he was kept awake during the procedures. His eye was numbed with drops and an injection, while doctors used equipment to keep his eyelid open. The heavyweight champion described the experience as absolutely horrifying, saying he could actually watch as the doctors worked on his eye. The injury happened during his fight with Gane at UFC 321, when multiple eye pokes eventually forced the contest to be stopped and officially ruled a no contest. The decision sparked criticism from some fans who believed Aspinall should have continued fighting. But behind the scenes, the reality was far more serious. Aspinall admitted that he was extremely scared during the early stages of his recovery, particularly throughout the first 2 weeks. His story also highlights the physical risks that fighters can face long after the cameras stop rolling. Aspinall became interim heavyweight champion after knocking out Sergey Pavlovich in just 69 seconds at UFC 295. He later defended the interim title by stopping Curtis Blades at UFC 304 before eventually becoming the undisputed champion following John Jones' retirement. Now, the rivalry with Gane could be heading toward another chapter. Gane recently captured the interim heavyweight title by defeating Alex Pereira at UFC Freedom 250, setting up a potential unification fight with Aspinall. The highly anticipated matchup is reportedly expected to take place in Paris in September, once the remaining contractual details are finalized. Move on to another news, as Alex Pereira has fired back at Paulo Costa's recent comments, and the Brazilian rivalry is heating up once again. During a recent discussion, Alex questioned the idea of giving someone a title opportunity after a long period of inactivity. He pointed out that several top contenders have already suffered losses, while others have been actively competing and building their cases for championship opportunities. Alex appeared to suggest that if a fighter has been away from competition for too long, the UFC may need to look elsewhere when deciding who should compete for the interim light heavyweight title. But Paulo Costa clearly wasn't impressed with those comments. After seeing the video, Paulo responded directly, explaining that he wasn't trying to provoke Alex, but believed the former champion was simply out of the loop. because it had been a long time since he signed his UFC contract, and the division had changed significantly. Paulo then made it clear that if he wanted to fight for the light heavyweight title immediately, he believes he could make that happen. According to Paulo, there are plenty of fighters currently waiting for their opportunity or working hard to earn one. But he believes his own career has been different because he has consistently taken risks and stepped up when the opportunity appeared. Paulo argued that he has earned his position by taking difficult fights and making bold decisions throughout his career. He also revealed that his ambitions don't stop at becoming a champion in another division. Paulo says he now wants something even bigger, a third UFC title. And to achieve that goal, he knows he will have to continue taking risks. His message was simple. If he hadn't taken those risks throughout his career, he wouldn't have accomplished everything he has achieved so far. Now, with Alex and Paulo exchanging comments, the rivalry between the two continues to generate attention. Whether this eventually leads to another fight or simply remains a war of words, Paulo's latest response makes one thing clear. He believes he has earned the right to chase another championship opportunity.